Welcome to Asian Culture Vulture. I'm Suman Butcher. I'm here at the Manchester International Festival 2021, and I'm about to talk to Rizwan Iqbal, producer of the Salaam Festival. Welcome to Asian Culture Vulture, Rizwan.
Thank you, Simon. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to be here too, for Asian Culture Vulture. It's the first time we've been to Manchester International Festival. And we're just happy to be able to meet people in person and talk to them about their plans. So, do tell me about the Salaam Festival.
So, Salaam Festival was born out of that first initial announcement of the country going into lockdown. It's been a kind of a dream passion of mine for several years, and being in the arts, not through any kind of fault of my own, but kind of weird coincidence and inspiration, external inspirations. I found myself in the arts world, and in particular the festival world of MIF, and spending 3 to 4 years with MIF as a community producer. And when everything kind of went on lockdown, I felt like everything was kind of like there was an opportunity to press pause, and to kind of reflect and maybe bring things off the shelf. I had entered a new job as an engagement manager, community and engagement manager at the time, at the beginning of 2020, and we're literally 3 months into the job and I was furloughed. So for me, it was very much a kind of purpose question, a question of intent, and a question of personal reflection and looking at the wider world, because it wasn't just my world or my life, it was a lot of people's individual lives that kind of went on pause. People being furloughed, people being socially isolated. There was a lot of fear and anxiety in the air. So in a strange way, it gave me time to work independently or in my own four walls to think about what could be an opportunity of hope. Because in an opportunity of anxiety, fear and chaos, there is always hope, and we must always cling on to hope. In April 2020, we decided to have 4 weekly conversations with artists, with community activists, members of the public, to imagine what could be possible in the world of Islamic art and culture, because that's another point which helped me kind of reflect about what has always been needed, myself being Muslim, and having my own journey of within the Islamic art and cultural world.
Tell me a bit more about it.
Yeah, I feel my journey in the arts has allowed me to understand what happens within communities, what happens at the grassroots level, but also what is possible at the world stage, having worked with MIF. And I feel that now is the time for us to rethink and look at a new vision. And that's what Salaam Festival is about. It's not about concrete answers. It's about looking at new ways of thinking. It's about creating a new vision for Muslim culture, for Islamic art. And that absolutely includes music. It includes theatre, it includes dance, it includes poetry. It looks at some of the traditions of visual art, but it also looks at the nuances and the new ways in which work can live and breathe. I do feel that there has been there's been a golden age that is celebrated through the form of calligraphy, geometric art, architecture, and also the late Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan in his music. Now, whether or not that's embraced within the full umbrella of Islamic art and culture is a different debate altogether. But what we feel is that there isn't a true understanding of art and culture within the Islamic way of thinking in terms of where we are right now in the 21st century. There's almost a fetishization of the old and this golden age that seems to have been and gone, whereas where we are right now, there is a severe underrepresentation of quality work at the global scale and world stage, and work that we feel is reimagined in such a way that it just doesn't speak to Muslim audiences, because I feel the entertainment, the arts, the awareness raising can somewhat sometimes be, and I have nothing against it, can somewhat be very apolitical, be very, charitable, or see it's an entertainment gig, and it's not necessarily seen as something artistic. So for us, it's about a platform of artists, both within the UK, domestic artists, but also artists that are in the four corners of our world, from different denominations, different backgrounds, able to work with and collaborate with what are seen as Western artists or non-Muslim artists. So for us, it's about really creating something that is a world first for us in terms of premiering brand new work, but also about bringing artists together. This is not an exclusive club for Muslim arts or Muslim audiences. This is about celebrating, I don't mean that in a very tokenistic way, but celebrating diversity, both within the Muslim faith and what's seen as Islamic culture, but also what we can embrace and what we can learn in terms of producing brand new work. So there are a couple of where we are aware of the diverse opinions that sit within the faith. However, we will consult scholars and theologians and spiritual representatives of the faith. We will, as a matter of course, do a sense check of what is not seen to be contentious, but what feels right. A sense check, yeah. So sort of a sense check with both community members, but also how it might have external ripples and effects. However, we can't be censoring our work. We want our work to be free thinking. We want our work to be bold and brave. But like I said to you earlier, we want it to be sensible and mean. How can I put this? But it means well. So we're not going to apologise for our work. We want new ideas. We want ideas that make people sit up and rethink where they are, which is why Manchester International Festival is such a fantastic partner, because that is exactly the kind of work they produce. They're bold, they're daring, they're always trying new ideas. And for us, it's about complementing the great work that's happened in the city. So irrespective of faith, culture and background, philosophically as a festival, we should be able to do that. We are not going to win everyone in terms of hearts, minds and ideas, but we're not in the business of winning everybody. This is about creating a brand new programme of work that speaks to everyone universally, and that's our fundamental aim, that through music, through theatre, through visual art, we have work that speaks to everybody. So again, we have to be mindful that certain works will speak to segments of audience, or maybe particular Muslim audiences, but we want to develop the work in such a way that it speaks to a wider audiences, and the word Salaam is about welcoming everyone. So it's a very bold and ambitious undertaking to welcome everyone, but it's not impossible.
So you've got a curtain raiser coming up in Manchester International Festival on July the 14th, an event, Salaam Festival, featuring a mixture of African griot artists and performance by poetry and music. Mm-hmm. And female lineup by the sounds of it, pretty much. Do you want to tell me a bit about that?
When we were imagining particular introductions to work, we didn't anticipate introducing our work in July as part of Manchester International Festival, and we're delighted with the opportunity to give audiences in Manchester and the world a sneak peek into what we're proposing and what we're developing for July 2022. And we selected 3 female artists because we felt there is a very focused spotlight on women per se, but also women who ascribe themselves to be of Muslim identity or Islamic heritage. And we picked 3 artists, one of which isn't of Muslim or Islamic heritage, but is of Sri Lankan descent, which is Abi Sampa. But what Abi Sampa is doing, and the reason why we picked, if I can start with Abi Sampa, is Abi is starting to work with an experiment with the 600, maybe 1,000-year-old tradition of Qawwali, which is its roots lie in the South Asian peninsula, and she's working with some very interesting artists, and in particular developing an orchestral Qawwali group with Rushil and Amrit Singh. So with focusing on Abi as a kind of a headline act, as alongside the others, we felt it was very pertinent to have the spotlight and representation of three very different artists. Sona Jobarteh originates from Gambia, and she is one of, if not the only master, female master of the kora. And Sona's world class. Abi Sampa is world class, as is Muneera Williams. So Sona really represents a rich tradition of African rhythms, mix that and fuse that with the rhythm and blues, with the jazz tradition, which then evolves into Muneera, who is a poet. So what we aim to do with this opening sneak peek is for Muneera to really highlight the poetic form and tradition, which is a tradition within the Muslim and Islamic culture and Islamic arts. Poetry is something that is consistently represented through the Quran. So the holy text and the holy scripture of the Islamic faith is a poetic language like no other. And this has been proven both in the East and the West, no matter how deeply you look at it. It's a language unique to its own. What better way for us to start this particular performance than to have Muneera as a poet. We'll then move on to Sona, who will take us through this wonderful ensemble of kora, song, and she comes with her full band, and we'll finish with Abi Sampa and her Orchestral Qawwali. So what we ultimately felt was this spotlight on female artists and female musicians is very much needed worldwide, very much needed within Salaam Festival. And we kind of want to give an idea of how we want to raise awareness and platforms for artists that are established and also artists that are wanting to become more established. So I'm hoping that kind of gives you an idea and a representation of why we've picked that, why we've picked the lineup that we have.
No, Rizwan Iqbal, it sounds very exciting, and Asian Culture Vulture will be there with you in spirit, but hopefully we'll be able to join you in July 2022 for the next leg of the Salaam Festival journey. But thank you so much for talking to Asian Culture Vulture. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonam.